You're watching NFT Talk with Brick Astley.
GM, welcome to NFT Talk. I'm your host, Brick Astley. The purpose of this talk show is to highlight one-on-one art on exchange art. Today's guest, I'm super honored to have because I'm super bullish on this project, Solaris, a virtual world powered by the Solana blockchain, where you can discover, experience, curate, and share the future of Web3 communities. It's a browser-first virtual world with focus on high-density city centers and a clean user experience. The team has been building virtual worlds since 2018 and have begun building on Solana. Karen, thank you so much. I appreciate your time representing Solaris.
Of course, thanks for having me on, and it's a pleasure, honestly. I'm just happy to be able to talk more about what we're doing here and what we hope to achieve in the future.
Excellent. Well, let's get right into it. Tell me, what are you doing here on the Solana blockchain? I see that in your past, you guys have been working building virtual worlds since 2018. So can you tell me a little bit about your background and how we ended up with Solaris on Solana?
Of course. Okay, so we first started off as a joint venture by our two founders, Pixos and Solaris, on the Ethereum blockchain back in 2018. This started when they conceptualized Ether City, our sister project on Ethereum. Sadly, at the instance of when they were actually like dropping Ether City, the whole market collapsed like pretty much like a month after that. And this was back when 2018, when the NFTs first started coming to fruition and the interest in minds of users. But as soon as that happened, we ended up actually taking a back seat and kind of evaluating our situation, especially with building a metaverse project when it seemed like there was no demand for such things, right? Ether City became something that Solaris was working on as a part-time endeavor. And then when NFTs started really coming back into the scene back in the summer of 2021, Solaris realized that it was important to continue building his vision. And so he ended up actually seeing there being a huge opportunity of users really focused on the Solana blockchain, right? A lot of capital, a lot of developers moving into that scene. And so he decided that the best way to go about actually having a real opportunity to bring the project for longevity would be to start investing time in developing on the Solana blockchain, and hence came Solaris, the sister project to Ether City. But the whole point of Solaris and the public mint that we experienced about a month ago on Solana was to actually allow for the main team to go full time into the project. Solaris recently, as of last month, actually finished his job at one of the FANG companies as a tech lead, and ended up actually going full time into Ether Labs, working on the metaverse projects that you see now today. And so that was the whole point of our kind of transition towards Solana as well, just so that we can get more eyes on Ether Labs in general, as well as what we're trying to create, more funding behind that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. And so it's like everybody's going right. You might as well go left over here. Let's check out Solana. There's a demand. Growing one-of-one markets. You have, obviously we're on exchange. So we're highlighting that. And within the project roadmap, you have integration coming with exchange. You've been hitting a lot of your milestones. Despite any kind of hurdles that you might have faced. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of the foresight into these kinds of updates and what you have going forward?
Yes, of course. So when we really started pushing development on Solana, we were focusing on shipping our core functionality, right? We're working on getting our MVP sent out, our minimum viable product. And with that came our initial inception of just introducing users to the ability of switching scenes based on their NFTs that they were able to purchase. So the way we have Solana set up, or Solaris set up, is that we have 3 NFT tiers, right? We have member units, penthouses, and partner buildings, all with their own varying degree of access to various scenes, with larger allocations of NFT placements in each scene type, right? And the way we had it set up was we believe that users shouldn't have to continuously mint new scenes, but rather should have a pass that allows them access to an ever-evolving collection of scenes. And these scenes can be interchangeable. You might have noticed our quarter scene, which was kind of a change from our gallery type of looks and more into like the residential unit, right? For users to actually like feel more along the lines of like in a metaverse, right? In like an actual apartment type setting, where we would hope things to go in the future, especially when we introduce avatars and multiplayer mechanisms. So users have their own like little like space that they could feel comfortable hanging out with other people, hence our residential units. But moving forward, beyond our scenes currently and our access that users have to our working product and gallery showcases, users can also or will also be able to actually interact with one another. In the upcoming months, we'll be introducing our avatar and multiplayer mechanisms, as well as an integration with exchange art to allow for users to actually buy, sell, and auction NFTs directly through our platform, right? And so instead of having it link out to a third party or any outside source, it would be directly through our system that users could be able to make bids on NFTs, which is kind of what we want to do to help serve the one-of-one art scene. It is a very underserved market, and it's just growing faster and faster with each day. You're seeing a lot more volume in sales, for example, and a lot more interest moving into that space, especially on Solana. And so it made sense for us to actually start working with artists and collections just to bring more eyes to that scene, right? We want to build an ecosystem that users are proud of using. And that comes with being like a platform aggregator to allow for um, a lot of those mechanisms to work in one go, right? In one-stop shop, which would be us as a Metaverse City project.
It's pretty amazing to be able to integrate all these different platforms and have it be like a multi-tool for the users and the artists, as well as the collectors. So would you then say, like, if you're bullish on Metaverse, you have to be bullish on like one-of-one art in general? Tell me about like what about Metaverse calls to you to work on a project like this?
Yeah, so I've always just been a huge fan of the way users can express themselves digitally, right? Like I feel like we're moving towards a more digital state where users spend a lot more time online. So, like we saw this recently, especially with the shift of how COVID has impacted the ability of users to work remotely, for example, with Zoom or so forth, right? I myself personally, when I was working at Intel up until about a week ago, actually, had spent a lot of time working fully remote. And so I'd be on Teams, I'd be on Zoom, and I'd be doing a lot of that stuff just all the time online. And so it made sense for us to eventually get to a point where users would spend even more time in a digital platform, in a digital environment such as a metaverse. And it only made sense that supporting the one-of-one art scene would help bring that ideal to fruition, simply because right now that seems to be the best use case for metaverses, right? For especially in connection with NFTs and cryptocurrencies. Um, so what if you can go into a space, and so what if you can just have a conversation with someone? There has to be a reason beyond that, right? And our reason was for allowing users to showcase NFTs beyond just their two-dimensional wallets, right? Because you have a wallet now that you spend so much money and time like picking up NFTs to place into, but you don't have a good way of showing that to other users beyond Web3 users, right? Beyond the people who are already familiar with wallets and stuff. And so we thought it'd be a good idea. This is why we're um, a web first metaverse, because we wanted to allow for the most onboarding, right? Imagine if you had a huge collection of NFTs, and instead of just holding up your phone to your friend and showing them like, look at my NFTs and scrolling through, if you could have them like linked to your own platform or site where they could walk through for themselves and see your gallery, see your NFTs, and they'd be so much more interested in collecting for themselves and therefore interested in onboarding into Web 3.0, into blockchain services and working around crypto and stuff like that. And hence that's where our ideal came from. And we're just excited to see a lot more users, especially traditional Web 2.0 users, moving towards that direction. And having a hand in developing that ecosystem is so cool to see, right? Like we're so happy to see a lot of users actually utilizing our product.
It's amazing to be able to see it. Like I'm able to share it with like my mom, who's used to seeing like me play video games, right? Or like my wife, who's used to seeing me play video games, and like they can comprehend it a little more, other than it's this flat thing. I can see it in 3 dimensions. Like I love blowing up the images and putting them in the background for like my Cortis scene. For mine, I have as a tattoo fingers shot of the Pacific Northwest, and it's like the ocean going out. And so like I can look out, and maybe I can have like a lookout where I'm like on the beach scene, and I can feel like I'm doing there. Or I can feel like I can put like a shot of New York, right, and have a New York skyline and have it look like it's a skyrise. So there's a lot of use cases, lots of versatility. Can you talk to me about some of the difficulties working with the different types of media, because you have like 3D objects,
Hmm.
digital JPEGs. You said you were we have video incorporation right now,
Hmm.
and audio incorporation. Can you talk to me about some of the difficulties of like working around that type of functionality, to make it all cohesive?
Yes, sure, of course. So yeah, so I mean, what really helps about working with like NFT specifically is like a lot of the information stored is in the metadata, right? And like we can access that as a platform and we can like shift through. For example, for us specifically, we have a variant switching tool within our tool set, curator tools, right? That allow users to switch between, for example, if it's a JPEG or if it's a .glb or whatever file format is as it is stated within the metadata. So you can actually have multiple file formats in one NFT and you can switch through them within our system and our platform. I guess the biggest issue or shortcoming would have to be dealing with the large file sizes because but prior to this, really, a lot of users didn't really have the foresight of like capping off on file format size, right? Because they never expressed the thought of having to, for example, onboard such NFTs into our platform. And especially being like a web first platform, we have to be very like mindful of the sizes of these NFTs so that users can actually load into their spaces and can view them properly. So that has been our biggest challenge, right? Because we've got a couple video NFTs, for example, that are in the thousands of megabytes range, and that's absurdly high. And so making a system that properly optimizes that so that it's still as intended in fidelity, but accessible by other users while making it still a smaller form function has been our biggest challenge. And it's something that we're still actively working towards, especially with our mobile devices, right? Because
Mhm.
it's a lot less computation than on a PC, even if it is web first.
Thank you for that. It gives me a little more, it gives us a little more background on some of those difficulties. Um, I know recently we had the platform regression, which reset the personalizations across the properties. Can you talk to me about addressing that situation and some of what you're doing going forward with that?
Yes, of course. So that was 100% an issue on on our own end, simply because we were trying too ambitiously to push an update prior to when our lead dev and founder would be going on break or vacation. We wanted to get stuff out, and we've been rolling out updates on a weekly basis, and we wanted to get stuff out that is impactful for our users to experience. An issue with that was with our most recent update, we were trying to push for a re-architecture of our whole backend, which would make implementing updates and developments faster in the future. But it ended up corrupting actually even the backups in our core data and making it a lot more difficult for us to, of course, recover. In hindsight, obviously, we should have been implementing a staging room that would allow us to actually test these updates before pushing them publicly. Um, but but trying to be innovative and trying to be fast, especially in the Solana blockchain, where a lot of users are always constantly wishing for more updates and new features going forward, like on a weekly basis. We didn't do that, right? We should have done that, and we didn't do that. But going forward, we will be implementing a staging room for ourselves to make sure that we don't have this happen again. That coupled with more regularly automated data backups will be our best way about going to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and I think these are growing pains of becoming a Web3 company. These are things of, that are bound to happen, you
Yeah.
know. So
We're just yeah, we're just really glad that it happened sooner rather than later. Especially, I mean, like you're right, these are growing pains and these are like the points where we like learn so much more about what we have to do properly to get things done right. I mean, one of our benefits is that we're a lean team, so we're a smaller amount of individuals like working on the back end, working on the whole project, and so we can pivot a lot quicker. We can implement a lot of changes from the community and a lot of input from them. But that also means that sometimes we miss the eyes necessary to make sure that we are doing everything correct. And this is just part of learning from that, right? This is something that we can go forward from now on and just say, look, we have this new process in place to make sure it doesn't happen again. Um, we're really sorry about what happened, but it's something that we have to learn from and grow from. And we can't look back and change what happened in the past, but instead look towards developing better in the future.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate the transparency and being open to speak about that. I think that that goes a long way and it speaks volumes. I've been super bullish on the project in overall anyway, since its inception and mint. I got in post mint. I think I have six properties. I was able to finally get a penthouse, but
Nice.
I'm gonna be using that for a secret photo DAO project. But if you'd like, I'd like to take you on a tour of my property and can walk around, talk about some of the stuff real quick before we wrap up, if you don't mind.
Of course, please do. I'd love to see it.
All right, let's see. Desktop, where are we? I want to bring up the share.
And were you noticing any like pain points, for example, with like curating or editing your spaces too? Because like we do like to hear about the community feedback in that regard so that we can make that better in the future.
Um, no, actually, I had some issues when I first didn't realize that they had the variant switch
Yeah.
with some of the Street Dreams Cafe cards because I love those cards. I love collecting them because you get some really amazing photography for fractions of what they're worth
Yeah.
in actuality. But I love being able to put those up and display them now because of that variant switch. But no, everything's anytime I've ever noticed a bug, it gets noticed like 12 hours later and I never experience it again. Like it's just been flawless improvements over time. I'm just very happy with that.
Good. Okay. I'm glad to hear that then.
Let's see.
Well then, Ed, what about any like overarching features that you'd like to see us implement in the future as we wrap up Roadmap 1.0, which is our implementation of better social sharing features, multiplayer, and the exchange art integration? We'll be looking forwards to implementing new features that we have been considering from, for example, the community. So looking into Roadmap 2.0, is there anything specifically that you'd like to see us do?
Um, I mean everything. If there's a way like I can stream, like live stream, like an episode into the
Gotcha.
platform, would be
Okay.
like really cool to be able to just connect like maybe like a Twitch stream or OBS stream to it.
Gotcha.
Um, and like then I can like interact with the multiplayer that are there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I don't know. I've heard people ask about like VR,
Mm.
if they'll be able to like integrate with any kind of like VR platforms going forward. But personally, no, I love everything that you guys have been putting together. You've been hitting every single point. Um, maybe there's different ways where you can mint different upgrades. So like
Gotcha.
if I've got like the unit, maybe I can mint something that enables me to like have like an expanded back patio or something
Okay.
along those lines. Um, but that would be obviously, down the road. I know you guys got a
Mm-hmm.
lot going on, but these are just thoughts. Just I'm
Yes, of
shooting
course.
from the hip on there.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. Uh, you can do anything in here. You can move them in three-dimensional space. So I love expanding them and filling the walls. So like I was just talking about this here. Anywhere I
Mm-hmm.
go in here, I can look, I can see the ocean. Maybe if I get closer and like it's like an audio piece as well, like I gets like it deals with like the sound like getting closer and further away, but
Gotcha.
no,
Okay.
everything's great. I love being able to take like images and blow them up, and now I've got that texture on my wall. It looks like
Mm-hmm.
diamonds, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually one-on-one artist S Chain Art. She does drone photography. That's from Hudson River, like
Oh
big little like
wow.
icebergs.
Yeah.
Crazy. I love the functionality. I love that you can go up and click on them and like get to know more about them.
Mm-hmm.
Get to know more about the piece. Search it on the Soul Scan. The functionality's been great. I think the only thing I would say is like I would love to be able to stream in there.
Gotcha. Okay. So we actually plan on implementing like a way for users to have an automatic curation effect for their spaces. So that, for example, imagine if you had a drone in your unit that like flew from one wall to the next wall and automatically recorded that and then uploaded it and allowed you to share it to users. So that's something that we're going to be looking towards implementing for like a curation effect for a lot of galleries, especially larger set galleries. This would be a feature that they'd be interested in. As for, I guess, more scenes and functionality for even base member units, you could even, we plan on implementing more scenes going forward. We're working in the backgrounds right now actually to develop like larger spaces and galleries for users to showcase their works. And those will be available for all member unit or all unit types. So that'll be something that users can look forward to. As for audio and spaces, we're actually chatting with Audius about integrating their APIs so that users could play music directly through their galleries, which will be really cool, especially for a type of environment where users are trying to auction off pieces. And then that coupled with when we implement the multiplayer and the exchange art features, that'll let, like, for example, imagine if you're an artist and you're showcasing your works and you have a live auction that's occurring and you invite other users to come into your space and you have conversations with these users live in real time as they view your artworks, and then they can make bids live in real time as well. Like that's something that we're trying to create, right? Like a cohesive feeling experience for everyone involved. So yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot that we're working on and we're a lot that we're excited about too.
You're solving a problem that I'm trying to solve on the other side as the artist, because I was thinking about that. I'm like, how am I going to get all my folks in there? I have to have them on Discord or Twitter Spaces, and then I have to have them
Yeah.
get into this link and like direct them to all these different places. But if I can just direct them to my Solaris, like
Mm-hmm.
it's so much easier and it simplifies everything for me as an artist. No,
Yeah.
from artists on this side of the screen, we really appreciate all the functionality that you guys have been doing. We appreciate the transparency of the project and how it's going. One more question before we wrap things up. Is there going to be future integration with your sister city in Ethereum? Is there going to be any kind of interoperability? Is that being considered long term?
Yes. So we have this overarching goal to actually kind of link the two cities together under one collaborative effort or branding effort to make everything look cohesive under Ether Labs. So we actually do plan on allowing for interoperability of Ethereum and Solana assets under both cities. And in the future, we do plan, or in the future, we'll have conversations more around like actually linking the two cities together so that users can go, for example, from one city to the next on one plane of existence. I think that would be really cool to see. Um, but yeah, so in the short term, we do plan on having interoperable assets being allowed to be used in both cities. But the linkage, the direct linkage, is something that we'll be considering later on.
Fantastic. That's an amazing future to look forward to as we have more adoption of this Web3 experience. Karen, I really appreciate your time. Do you have any final closing thoughts or anything for our audience to follow?
Yes, we do really recommend that users actually do their own research before purchasing into a product. We have specifically documentation pages that allow users to learn a lot more about what we're doing, for example, what we have available now, as well as what our roadmap and our future plans look like. That's pretty much just such an important part of an investor, right? You do want to make sure that you're actually putting your money into something that's going to be working for you in the future. And we've been building, we plan on continuing to build. But with that being said, check out docs.solaris.so. That's docs.solaris.so. That's our documentations pages, and that'll help you actually learn a lot more about what we're doing. That coupled with our Twitter and our Discord, as well as our just main website in general, you can learn a lot more information there. But yeah, check us out. Feel free to hit us up on Twitter or anything like that if you want to have a conversation. We're more than happy to guide you in the direction in which you can learn more about our project. And as well, Brick, thank you so much for having us on. It was really great chatting with you.
Grateful. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It gives me a lot more information. And I was already bullish before. I can't be more bullish now. I need to go start picking up some more Solaris units here. With that in mind, make sure to follow all the proper links. We'll have all the proper links to Solaris, the docs. Make sure to like and subscribe down below, share, retweet the videos out so that way we can get more artists onboarded to Solaris and let them see these amazing NFT units. That being said, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and be kind to Mother Earth. Always GM.